Hello everyone, I'm Rick Janzen. Welcome to my fly bench. The Black-O Lindsay is a traditional fly pattern that many people would consider just an attractor pattern. But what if I told you the legendary pioneer fly angler Jack Shaw used to use this fly reliably as a caddis pupa pattern? That being the case, I always have a few of these in my box in my caddis pupa section and in my coastal fly box. So let's take a look at the materials you're going to need to tie this versatile fly. Alright everyone, into my vise I've got a Mustad number 10 2x long hook. Wet fly hook is a nymph hook. So to that I'm going to add a base of my 6/0 black tying thread. Just going to get that wound on there. Now, as I mentioned in the introduction, this is a versatile fly. It often takes rainbow and trout in the interior as a caddis fly pupa. But here on the coast it also turns out to be a dandy cutthroat fly. So it's two reasons to have it here on the coast, and so I always have a few in my box. So what we're going to do is bring that thread back to the bend of the hook here, just around the point of the barb. And there we go, we're going to let that hang there and see we've got it in the right place. Now our first order of business is a tail, and that's brown over on top of blue hackle fibers. And again, we don't have to go very expensive here. We're just doing generally hen neck here. So I'm going to lay down my blue fibers first. And I want a good bunch of them in there. I want them to show. And so we take that and we give it about half the hook length. Tie those in there. Make sure they're well secured. And cut off our tag ends. Now we want a bunch of brown that's equally prominent over top the blue. This color is going to be repeated in the beard of the fly with a slight difference there. So we're going to get a bunch of these, the brown hackle fibers as well, and peel those off the shank. We want a good bunch again. We want that brown to be quite visible, and I'm just going to stack these a little bit as they come out a little uneven off the shaft of the feather, and then we lay those on top. We've got a nice layer of brown over top the blue. And there we go, very handsome looking tail. Now I'm going to come in with my tinsel. This is medium flat tinsel, and it's just silver one side, gold the other. So I tie it with the gold side down. I put it on there, capture that. Then I bring my thread forward to just short of the eye here, about an eye's length or a little more behind. Now I've taken regular yellow yarn and I've separated the strands in order to get a thin enough strand to tie in on there, because I don't want a big bulky one. I don't want a fly that's too fat. I want to keep this on the slender side. And ironically then what we do is, because it's so thin, now I can tie it in on the front of the hook and wind my way back to the tie-in point for the tinsel and the tail. It's not a difficult fly to tie, but extremely effective. Jack Shaw used to use it quite effectively on Lac Lejeune and the other Merritt and Kamloops area lakes as a caddis pupa, and you know what, I've seen it do the same thing for me. On a medium density full sinking line, and relatively short leader, 6 foot or so, straight tippet like 4X or 5X, and just walked along the bottom. It regularly takes fish when there's a caddis hatch going on. Unfortunately, the caddis hatches aren't as strong as they used to be, but they still do occur, and the fish still take them as such. Okay, so we bring that thread back forward. Now we're going to wind our yellow wool, our yarn, over top, and you see how we get a nice even body without a big knob at the back here where we would have tied in if we'd have just tied in the full hank of yarn at the butt. So we get a nice, really even, smooth body. Bring it up here. Capture that yarn. Couple wraps in front to make sure she's well tied down and locked in place, and give that a snip. We're going to take our tinsel now, and we'll get about 3 wraps of the gold tinsel. We want the gold side up. Make sure you've got that gold side showing. 2, 3 nice even spirals, and we bring it in there and lock that off as well. A couple of turns on top of it to lock it into place. And we're going to turn the vise over and tie in our beard before we put in our 2 wings. Now I'm going to give that a 1/2 hitch just because I'm turning the vise. Put that there, lock that in with a 1/2 hitch. Turn the vise over, tighten up my bobbin, and then we're going to come in back with our blue and brown hackle fibers, only this time we're going to mix them. So we get some blue there, and some brown, which are a little shorter, so we're going to have to do some stacking, and that will naturally allow me to mix these, and so that they're not all just a layer like the tail was. We want them mingled and mixed. I'm going to get a little more of the brown there, a little short on brown. So I'll pick up some more of these brown fibers off a longer feather here. Oh, this one's got some really good long fibers. Get that stacked in there. Okay, now you see we've got them mixed, and we'll bring that in as a beard. We want it about the same length as the point of the hook. Loose loop method to pinch and grasp those in place, and we've got a nice beard tied in there. And get rid of these tag ends. For those of you out there who want to try some more colorful flies, this one certainly looks like an attractor and can be used as one, but it's also a great imitative pattern at the right time of year. Okay, and then our final 2 materials are 2 wings, and the first wing is our peacock sword fibers. These are not the hurls, so make sure you've got the right thing, the sword fibers there. So I get about a 1/4 inch or more of those sword fibers peeled off the hank, and because they curl, you can see they curl a little bit. I like that curled down, and I like it about the length of the tail. So we're going to bring those in there and loose loop that, and then capture that in place there. Make sure it's well secured, and then we're going to top it off with our mallard flank feather, the last item to come in. Again, we choose some mallard flank feather right there, and I'm going to select a portion of that. Again, about a little 1/4 inch, maybe a little more, maybe 5/8 of an inch if we're going to be precise. I'm going to cut off the straggly end there, and then I just sort of roll and fold these up until they form a nice tidy bunch, as you can see there. And we cap this off here on top as our second wing, and we bring those in the pinch loop, and now we start building our head, and draw that down. We're going to cut off these without cutting our thread. Last piece of work is to bring in some Sally Hansen's here, or super glue, whatever uses head cement. And I like to brush it on with my thread above there so it will drip and run down into the wraps. And we get that well squeezed in there. And then we finish off with a whip finish. Like I said, not a difficult fly to tie, and can be tied smaller, larger, just keep everything the same. All the materials, you don't change anything. I would go to a smaller tinsel if I went down to say a number I'd tie it at everything the same with for a number 12, but if I'm going down to 14 or 16, then I go with a smaller tinsel and maybe even pare down that wool a little more. But otherwise everything's the same. So there you have the black Lindsay, probably originated in the UK with a name like that, but who knows? I don't know the history of the fly. If you do, you can place it in the comments. So if you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing if you haven't already, and share it with your friends. I'm wishing you good luck and tight lines on the water. Take care out there. Thanks for watching.